decided to make a bonus video. I found my sport camera that I used for the other videos. Um, so it's easier to move around because you don't have to keep it connected to the computer. So the reason why I'm making a bonus video is because I need to practice my Hebrew for the Hebrew course, and I've barely gotten started, so I'm still working on memorizing the alphabet. I've made more headway, I guess, on some of the other courses I'm doing, but ahead of time. But I've only just started the alphabet, even though I've read some of the text um, for Hebrew. Anyway, so I notice I want to read from Psalm. I'm not going to read the whole Psalm in Hebrew. I haven't got that far yet, but I want to read from Psalm 119 because it's one of those psalms where like some of the verses, each of the verses they start with one letter of the from the alphabet, from the Hebrew alphabet. So it goes by the Hebrew alphabet, not our English alphabet, obviously. So there's 22 letters in the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, and there's 176 verses. So what I notice is that, for example, verses 1 to 8 would all start with the letter Aleph. So just like our English alphabet, we say A, but A can, when you use it in certain words, it's the pronunciation doesn't sound like an A all the time. Um, well, A does, but for example, C, it if you use it in the word cut, it's just like it's a very short cut. It doesn't actually sound like C anymore. So that's true of Hebrew as well. Um, so I would just actually just say the letter, and then I'll read the verse in English. So for each of those letters, I'm gonna say each time for each verse. So basically, Aleph, and then reading it in English, verse 1, and then Aleph, and then reading it in English for verse 2. Aleph. Happy are they that are upright in the way, who walk in the law of the Lord. Aleph. Happy are they that keep his testimonies, that seek him with the whole heart. Aleph. Ye, they do no unrighteousness, they walk in his ways. Aleph. Thou hast ordained thy precepts, that we should observe them diligently. Aleph. Oh, that my ways were directed to observe thy statutes. Aleph. Then should I not be ashamed when I have regard unto thy commandments. Aleph. I will give thanks unto thee with uprightness of heart, when I learn thy righteous ordinances. Aleph. I will observe thy statutes. O forsake me not utterly. Next letter. Beth. Beth. Whereof shall a young man keep his way pure? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Beth. With my whole heart I have sought thee. O let me not err from thy commandments. Beth. Thy word I have laid up in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. Beth. Blessed art thou, O Lord. Teach me thy statutes. Beth. With my lips have I told all the ordinances of thy mouth. Bet. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies, as much as in all riches. Bet. I will meditate in thy precepts, and have respect unto thy ways. Bet. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. Next letter. Gimel. Deal bountifully with thy servant, that I may live, and I will observe thy word. Gimel. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. Gimel. I am sojourner in the earth. Hide not thy commandments from me. Gimel. My soul breaketh for the longing that I have unto thine ordinances at all times. Gimel. Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, that do err from thy commandments. Gimel. Take away from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept thy testimonies. Gimel. Even though princes sit and talk against me, thy servant doth meditate in thy statutes. Gimel. Yea, thy testimonies are my delight. They are my counselors. Dale. Dale. My soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy word. Dale. I told of my ways, and thou didst answer me. Teach me thy statutes. Dale. Make me understand the way of thy precepts, and that I may talk of thy wondrous works. Dale. My soul melteth away for heaviness. Sustain me according to thy word. Dale. Remove me from the way of falsehood, and grant me thy law graciously. Dale. I have chosen the way of faithfulness. Thine ordinances have I set before me. Dale. I cleave unto thy testimonies, O Lord. Put me not to shame. Dale. I will run the way of thy commandments, for thou hast enlarged my heart. Het. Next letter. Het. Teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I will keep it at every step. Het. Give me understanding, that I may keep thy law and observe it with my whole heart. Het. Make me to tread in thy path of thy commandments, for in do I delight. Het. Incline my heart unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness. Het. Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken me in thy ways. Het. Confirm thy word unto thy servant, which pertaineth unto fear of thee. Het. Turn away my reproach, for which I dread, for thine ordinances are good. Het. Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thine righteousness. not sure about the way it's telling me to pronounce this one. I don't see what this Bible says. Why? Why? Let thy mercies also come unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. Why? That I may have answer for him that taunteth me. For I trust in thy word. Why? And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth. For I hope in thine ordinances. Why? So shall I observe thy law continually forever and ever. Why? And I will walk at ease, for I have sought thy precepts. Why? I will also speak of thy testimonies before kings, and will not be ashamed. Why? And I will delight myself in thy commandments, for which I have loved. Why? I will lift up my hands unto thy commandments, for which I have loved, and I will meditate on thy statutes. Zing. 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 Remember the word unto thy servant, because thou hast made me to hope, saying, this is my comfort and my affliction, that thy word have quickened me. Zain. The proud have made me great in the region, even though I have not turned astray from thy law. Zain. I have remembered thine ordinances, of which are of old, O Lord, and have comforted myself. Zain. Thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. Zain. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have observed thy law. Zain. This I have had, and I have kept thy precepts. Zain. Oh, that's the last one for Zain. Now, Het. Het. I don't think it's Het. I think this one is Het. Let's see here. Het. This one is Het. The other one was. This is Het. Het. I think they're very similar pronunciations. This one's just a bit more stronger in the end. Het. I have entreated thy favor with thy whole heart, to be gracious unto me according to thy word. Het. I considered my ways, and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. Het. I made haste, and delayed not, to observe thy commandments. Het. The bands of the wicked have enclosed me, but I have not forgotten thy law. Het. At midnight I will give thanks unto thee, because thy righteous ordinances. Het. I am a companion of them who fear thee, and of them that observe thy precepts. Heh. The earth, o Lord, is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. Teh, 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 teh. Thou hast dealt with me, thy servant, O Lord, according to thy word. Tet. Teach me good discernment and knowledge, for I believed in thy commandments. Tet. Before I was afflicted, I did err, but now I observe thy word. Tet. Thou art good, and thou dost good. Teach me thy statutes. Tet. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I with my whole heart will keep thy precepts. Tet. Their heart is gross like fat, but I delight in thy law. Tet. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, in order that I might learn thy statutes. Tet. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Yoid. Pretty sure this is the Yod. So this website's which I'll put in the description later. This this website's English pronunciations are really, they're sort of not what I would expect to use that some of the letters that they're using here as a pronunciation guide. Yod. Thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn thy commandments. Yod. Yod. They that fear thee shall see me and be glad, because I have hope in thy word. Yod. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are righteous, and that in thy faithfulness thou hast afflicted me. Yod. Let, I pray thee, thy loving kindness be ready to comfort me, according to thy promise unto thy servant. Yod. Let thy tender mercies come to me, that I may live, for thy law is my delight. Let the proud be put to shame, for they have distorted my cause with falsehood, but I will meditate in thy precepts. Yod. Let those that fear thee return to me, and they will know that thy testimonies. Yod. Let my heart be undivided into thy statutes, in order that I may not be put to shame. Kuf. 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 My soul pineth for thy salvation. In thy hope do I hope. In thy word do I hope. Kuf. Kuf. My eyes fail for thy word, saying, when wilt thou comfort me? Kuf. For I become like a wineskin in the smoke, yet I do not forget thy statutes. Kuf. How many are the days of thy servant? When will thou execute judgment on them that persecute me? Kuf. The proud have digged pits for me, which is not according to thy law. Kuf. All thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me for naught. Help thou me. Kuf. They had almost consumed me upon earth. But as for me, I forsook not thy precepts. Kuf. Quicken me after thy loving kindness, and I will observe the testimony of thy mouth. Kuf. That was the last one for Kuf. Next letter. Oh, yeah, this one. Lame. This one's the big one. Forever, O Lord, thy word standeth fast in heaven. Lamed. Lame. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it standeth. Lame. They stand this day according to thy ordinances, for all things are thy servants. Lame. Unless thy law has been my delight, I should then have perished in my affliction. Lame. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. Lame. I am thine, save me, for I sought thy precepts. Lame. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider thy testimonies. Lame. I have seen an end to every purpose, but thy commandment is exceedingly broad. Mem. 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 Oh, how I love thy law! It is my meditation all the day. Mem. Thy commandments make me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. Mem. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. Mem. I understand more than mine elders, because I have kept thy precepts. Mem. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, in order that I might observe thy word. Mem. I have not turned aside from thy ordinances, for thou hast instructed me. Mem. How sweet are thy words unto my palate! Yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Mem. From thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Nun? Nun? Yes. Nun? 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 Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path. Nun? I have sworn and have confirmed it. Maybe I'll gotta check how to write it later. Might logically seems like it's one continuous. Yeah, I've sworn and have. So verse 106. I've sworn and have confirmed it. To observe thy righteousness, to observe thy righteous ordinances. Nun. I am afflicted very much. Quicken me, O Lord, according to thy word. Nun. Accept, I beseech thee, the freewill offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me thy ordinances. Nun. My soul is continually in my hand, yet I have not forgotten thy law. Nun. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet went I not astray from thy precepts. Nun. Thy testimonies have I taken as a heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. Nun. I have inclined my heart to perform thy statutes, forever and at every step. Samek. Samek. What is it? Samek. Samek. I hate them that are of double mind, but thy law do I love. Samek. Thou art my covert and my shield. In thy word do I hope. Oh, Samek. Depart from me, ye evildoers, that I may keep the commands of my God. Samek. Uphold me according to thy word, that I may live, and put me not to shame in my hope. Samek. Support thou me, and I shall be saved, and I will occupy myself with thy statutes continually. Samek. Thou hast made light of all of them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is vain. Samek. Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love thy testimonies. Samek. My flesh surrender for fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgments. Ein. Yeah, Ein. So, yes, Ein. I have done justice and righteousness. Leave me not to mine oppressors. Ein. Be surety for thy servant for good. Let not the proud oppress me. Ein. My eyes fail for thy salvation, and for thy righteous word. Ein. Deal with thy servant according to thy mercy, and teach me thy statutes. Ein. I am thy servant, give me understanding that I may know thy testimonies. Ein. It is time for the Lord to work. They have made void thy law. Ein. Therefore I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Ein. Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right. Every false way I hate. Pay. Pay. Thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. Pay. The opening of thy words giveth life, and giveth understanding unto the simple. Pay.